Certainly one of my favourite models. We're very fond of this model in ioda. One of the main reasons being that whenever you explain it to people, people get it very quickly. People can understand it's a very simple process. It's called the conflict pyramid, but it's equally useful, particularly around managing people. Every day, any of us in the workplace, there are little hiccups that occur. You may remember we talked about it on the workshop. The debate still runs on between myself and my colleagues and different people in the room as to how we spell hiccups. Bear with me, we're spelling it the American way. If you're a purist, live with it. The model is just as useful either way. So the hiccups, the way the model describes them, they're the normal everyday things that you would expect to experience in the workplace. So maybe somebody that just can't manage to get into work on time that irritates the rest of the people in the team. Maybe somebody's communication style, they're constantly interrupting somebody else because they just love to talk. Or maybe somebody else that you're trying to get involved in a conversation doesn't want to get involved, and that maybe irritates other people. So just the minor things. We're not talking about big sort of disputes between people, the minor kind of hiccups, the fact that the terminal server works really slowly, the fact that somebody else is always using the photocopier, the kind of little hiccups that are bound to happen every day in the workplace. Some of the techniques that we've talked about, so when we were talking about 3 steps, when we were talking about using assertiveness, the purpose of those is to encourage managers in particular to deal with the hiccups. Not dealing with the hiccups is not an option. Well, I guess it is an option, but the conflict pyramid then goes on to explain what happens if you don't deal with the low level stuff. So this is just a quick low level intervention to deal with a hiccup in order to prevent the next stage happening. Because if we don't deal with hiccups, what happens is that they gang up. They join forces, and when you have a number of hiccups together, they join forces, and before you know it, you haven't dealt with the lateness, you haven't dealt with the irritating person that interrupts, you end up with a clash, and you've got the other members of the team then talking about that individual. It's become much bigger than it was originally. So assertiveness at this stage, preventing clashes. Equally, you'll know of managers who don't deal with the clashes either. The clashes are a bit bigger. Sometimes we move people or we change the circumstances rather than actually dealing with the clash between 2 members of staff, 3 members of staff, or a whole team. And before you know it, we have what we put up here at the top and call crisis. By the time we get to crisis point, it's something you can't deal with. It's something you need to step outside and call in what they call third-party interventions. So crisis is something that you would need to involve another manager, a senior manager, maybe somebody from HR, or even the whole processes are broken down and we're using an outside agency. So the model is really, really helpful, but leaves us in no doubt that as a manager, there is no other option other than to deal with the hiccups in order to prevent the escalation.